أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين حمدا يوافي نعمه ويكافئ مزيده ثم الصلاة والسلام الأتمان الأكملان على سيد الثقلين وإمام الفريقين سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا وبعد. Inshallah, we'll continue with our the triangles of Islam of Quran based on Surah Al-An'am. Alhamdulillah alladhi, the first ayah of the chapter, خلق السماوات والأرض وجعل الظلمات والنور. All praise are due to Allah who created the heavens and the earth and caused darknesses and light to be. Yet those who disbelieve ascribe equals to their Lord. So that divides existence into three parts. That's why we call it triangulars. Creation, darknesses, and light. Al-Khalqu. So, but broadly, it divides up into two, creation and commandment. And commandment divides up into two, darkness and light, meaning that creation, all creation are created neutral. That's what we call fitra. And then what they become depends on how they respond to the commandment. If they respond in a certain way, that leads them towards darkness. If they respond in a certain way, they tend towards light. So creation is created neutral at the beginning, and now their further development depends on how they respond to the commandment. So that's why I start with Alhamdulillah, all praise are due to Allah who created the heaven and earth, and He created everything in the heavens and the earth and everything in between. And thereafter, darkness and light. So in terms of fitrah, everything is created initially in a good fitrah. Everything is created. Kullu mawlood, every child that is born on the fitrah. Then the parents, who command him, changes him to become this or that. But all children are born the same way. All human beings are born the same, and all creation are created with fitrah. And but their development, as I said, will depend on how they respond to the commandment that comes from God. Then, of course, these are the two ways. One leads you towards light, one leads you towards darkness. Those two paths. One leads you towards, imperishable domain, and one which is the domain of light. Whatever is in the light abides and remains. and one leads you towards a domain, the perishable domain, which is the domain of darkness, that everything in the darkness is bound to perish, will not remain and abide. So this is the theme of the whole surah, and then of course expands on that further and further. So just the way the verse itself is ordered, that's how the path is set. So creation, and then darknesses, and then light. That means that there has to be a passage through darknesses. I mean, to get the light, there is you have to go through the darknesses, guided by the commandment of God. And then that's why he says that Allah لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا يُخْرِجُهُمْ مِنَ الظُّلُمَاتِ إِلَى النُّورِ وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا أَوْلِيَاؤُهُمُ الطَّاغُوتُ يُخْرِجُونَهُم مِنَ النُّورِ إِلَى الظُّلُمَاتِ أُولَٰئِكَ أَصْحَابُ النَّارِ هُمْ فِيهَا خَالِدُونَ. Allah is the friend or the ally or the working partner of those who have faith, amanu, and then he brings them slowly. So there is a progressive tense. It's a gradual process. There are exceptions when there are those who God just pick them once and then bring them into light. We call that jazba, or ijtiba. But normatively, it's a progressive transition from the domain of darkness until you enter into the domain of light. So when they talk about the path, that's what it is about, is a way that helps you navigate this maze of darkness, because you can get lost very, very quickly, and be able to safely find your way out and make it into the domain of light, imperishable domain. So Allah is the ally of those that have faith. And having faith doesn't mean that you are not within the zone of darkness. Within the zone of darkness, you have faith, and that faith guides you. Because there has to be something to guide you by. If there is nothing, you can be guided by. You can source some. So there is يَهْدِيهِمْ رَبُّهُمْ بِإِيمَانِهِمْ. It's very clear. Their Lord guides them by their iman. So their iman is the mean by which they are guided within the labyrinth of darkness until they exit and they set foot into the domain of light, the imperishable domain. So يخرجهم من الظلمات إلى النور. So their way is to move away from darkness and to move towards the light, as they obey the commandment. And the commandments are general. There are general commandments that everybody knows. The general commandment: you pray 5 times a day, you fast the month of Ramadan, you go for Hajj once in your lifetime if you can, and you give charity. So these are the common commandments that if you follow thoroughly, it will help you tend towards light and away from darkness. But there are intricate aspects of the path that some requires a specific commandment, a special commandment. Usually, something that pertains to you as an individual. So while we all share the general commandment, each individual is also commanded by God individually. So sometimes that is what makes it hard to do it on your own, unless you have somebody who can help you figure things out and help you read the message that you're receiving from God, lest that message be a deceptive message from your ego. It says that إن النفس لأمارة, so أمر لأمارة بالسوء. In the chapter of Yusuf, he said, because the nafs commands you. That's what the problem is, and commands you to what is evil, what is darkness, so to speak. So sometimes that less, to be careful, less is not enough that is commanding you, and not exactly the commandment that's coming from God. So sometimes the message can you may not be able to. I mean, declare example of that is Samiri, story of Samiri in chapter Taha. So he had a vision, and he thought the vision was he saw God, and that the image to worship that God is a calf. So of course, all the way he created a calf out of gold, and invited people to worship the calf, telling them that this is the God that Musa went to, were meant to talk to, want to meet. So of course, it was a deception of the nafs. He had something told him, something commanded him, but it was not a commandment from light, from God. It was a commandment from darkness, from the nafs. So when Sayyidina Musa came back and confronted him, he said, فَمَا خَطْبُكَ يَا سَامِرِي? Samiri, what was the problem? Well, why did you do what you did? He said, I saw what they did not see. So that's the بَصُرْتُ وَلَمْ يُبْصِرُوا بِهِ وَكَذَلِكَ سَوَّلَتْ لِي نَفْسِي. That's the honest part of it. That's how my nafs make it look seemly to me. So as a clear example of obeying the nafs and obeying the commandment of the nafs, and of course completely moving away from light and moving further into deeper and deeper into darkness. So that had he, let's say, the right way would have been, whatever vision he had, he should have waited until Sayyidina Musa comes. Okay, I saw this. I saw this and this and this and this. What does it mean? Then he'll tell him. And there'll have been no fitna, no problem. But him going off on his own vision and not be, and his nafs is not purified, it's not free from deception. He said, so tazkiyatun nafs, that's what it is about, to purify the soul so that it does not give you these dark messages. So that is the importance of making sure that the commandment that you're receiving is coming from a good place. You are not being deceived by your greatest tempter, which is the soul that is within your own bosom, within your own body. So this is as simple as it is. Of course, in practice it's difficult, but this is what it all is about. God sent messenger after messenger to take people, to teach people how to move from the zone of darkness and enter into the zone of light. That's the simple message. But of course, God sent them with a set of commandments that they had to tell people, do this and don't do this and do this. And as they obey, respond positively to that, then they keep going closer and closer towards the light until they enter the domain of light. And the domain of light is the domain of, as I said, is the imperishable domain, that everything that enters in that does not perish. It's meant to last forever. So that God also calls it my presence. So the domain of light. And so he said, مَا عِنْدَكُمْ يَنْفَدُ وَمَا عِنْدَ اللَّهِ بَاقِي. Whatever is with you will perish, will end. Whatever is with me will remain. So that whatever is with me, that means whatever is in my enters the zone of dark light, that's what is with me. ما عندكم ينفد وما عند الله باقي. As simple as that. So whatever you bring this side, if you want to preserve anything, bring it into that side. Your wealth, whatever you throw there will remain. You're going to find it. Whatever you leave on the dark side, you lost that. That's gone. You'll not see that again. لا يبقى. يفنى ولا يبقى. So some they call it عالم الفناء والبقاء. The domain of fana and the domain of baqa. So ما عندكم ينفد وما عند الله باق. I think the beautiful example of this is transition from the zone of the perishable zone into the imperishable zone, or our zone and God's zone, so to speak. ما عندكم as العندية عند الله وعند الناس. So the best example of that is the story of the Queen of Sheba. It's a very beautiful example. That's what God exactly is setting as an example in that story of how one makes a transition from the zone of darkness and enter into the zone of light, or how you move from the perishable kingdom into the imperishable kingdom. And how, the whole, so the whole story is that Sayyidina Sulaiman alayhi salatu wasalam, one day, as a practice, he will supervise his government, his army, his workers, make sure that everybody is doing their job. And of course, then he noticed that as Ibn Abbas says, his engineer, which is the hoopoe, the bird, was not on duty. Whereas the hoopoe, he says, it's not on duty, it's not there. So he got very upset. Why is he not on duty? Why is he not here doing his job? So, and then he issued an ultimatum. Either he brings me a real proof, a real excuse why he is not here on duty, or I'll punish him a very severe punishment, or he may face capital punishment. أو لا أذبحنه أو لا يأتيني بسلطان عذابا شديدا. So it's very serious. You can't play with your duty, with your task. So, فَمَكْسَ غَيْرَ بَعِيد, very soon he came. Where were you? Said the Sunnah, أَحَطْتُ بِمَا نَطِحْتُ بِهِ. As I was coming back, I was delayed because I came across this country, this land, very blessed land. They have everything, and they're led by a queen. With all the blessing God has given them, they don't worship God. They don't bow down to God. They bow down to the sun. So Sayyidina Sulaiman alayhi salam said, he didn't say you are right or you are wrong. He didn't say either. قال سننظر, we will see. We'll see whether you are right, you're telling the truth, or you are lying. And this is the way you approach an information that has came to you, you don't know. You can say it's true because you don't know. You can say it's wrong either because you don't know. So don't say you are right, don't say you are wrong. Keep a positive outlook and then find out the truth. Said in the process of investigating the truth. That's what he did. This is how it starts. Then, okay, he wrote a letter. If there is the queen, then go deliver the letter. So now we have these two zones here. The kingdom of Sheba and the kingdom of Sayyidina Sulaiman, led by Sayyidina Sulaiman alayhi salam. And this is the kingdom that is built on the name of God. So is that represents the domain of God, the imperishable domain, led by Sayyidina Sulaiman. Anything that enters that zone is meant to abide, but not perish. So that's the zone of light. And the kingdom of Sheba was in the zone of darkness. And now we see how the transition happens. That's exactly how, at a greater level, that's what happens when you transition from darkness into light. So when the letter came to him, so now the message, the commandment, begins with the commandment. إنه من سليمان وإنه بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألا تعلوا علي وأتوني مسلمين. That's the first commandment. This is from Sulaiman, in the name of Allah, most merciful, most gracious. Don't act arrogantly towards me, and come as in submission to God. So taslim. So first thing, aslimu. So the commandment begins, submit. Taslim, Islam. So her attitude was, which is a good sign at this point, she doesn't have faith yet. But she has a positive thinking. And that's the requirement of eventually having faith, having iman, to be positive thinking. When somebody is like that, it's a good sign that they will find iman, they'll find faith. Husnul dhan. So when she received the letter, she said something good. She doesn't know Sayyidina Sulaiman. She did not respond angrily and, say, what does he think he is, or this and that. I know. أُلْقِيَ إِلَيَّ كِتَابٌ كَرِيمٌ. That's a good thing. A gracious letter has been delivered to me. So you call the letter gracious, Kareem. That's a good thing. This is something good. Kalma tayyiba. A good word is like a good seed. It's already said a good word. And then, of course, she convened all her advisors, her chieftains, and share the letter with them. So they said, no, if you wish, we can fight back. That is very wise. He said, no, there's no need for that. I'll find out whether he is, what kind of person he is. Is he truly calling us to God, or is just trying to expand his power and domain? So then he sent him a very valuable gift. Send him a gift. Let's see how he responds. Also seeing responding. So when the gift came, and Sulaiman understood that this gift is like a bribery. Because he wanted to influence my opinion. So gifts like that you cannot accept, especially if you are in a position of influence. Any gift that is given to you to change your mind or to make you incline, then that is a bribery, if you take it. So he said, and Sulaiman said, so you're trying to give me money? And bribe me? What Allah has given me is better than what is given to you. And not in the material sense. He's saying that Allah gave me something which no money can buy, which is prophethood, messengership, knowledge of God. This is more than anything. Okay, take it back and it will come upon them. So then he knew that no, he's not interested in material gains or territorial gains. Then that's once he decided to go, to answer the call. So the first responding, he responded. So this is the process, this is the beginning of coming from darkness and going towards the light. By responding, by submitting, by answering the call, the initial call that comes from God. So she responded and she went. Now, as she was still on the way, hasn't got to, so she left the domain of darkness and is making her way towards light. In the meantime, Sayyidina Sulaiman alayhi salatu wasalam brought her throne from the zone of darkness, from perishable zone, into the imperishable. Now she really have her throne for good. If it remains there, it's going to perish. So that is to say that when you make your way, hijrah, you migrate. That's what migration. You migrate from darkness to light. Of course, the hijrah, of course, is first it begins internal. So your internal migration, whereby in your heart you dissociate yourself from darkness and all the things that appertain to darkness, and then you turn your heart towards light, and then that's followed by physical migration, So actually move bodily, body and heart and soul, everything, from the zone of darkness into the zone of light. So the same thing happened in Mecca, when the Prophet ﷺ moved from Mecca to Medina. That's what it is. Because Mecca was the zone of darkness, and Medina was the zone of light. And then everybody who moved from here to here. So as you make your way, as you make hijrah, you migrate from one side to the other, everything follows you. Whatever you left behind you, your wealth follows you, your status follows you. But now it's going to be imperishable. Her throne is the symbol of her power, of her kingdom. God will give her a kingdom that will never perish in the zone of light. إذا رأيت ثم رأيت نعيما وملكا كبيرا. So her throne came, and everything else that she left behind her, she'll find it in the zone of light. So you will not miss anything that you leave behind you and make a migration to God. It will all come. It will all follow you. It will all follow you into light. It will all follow you into everlastingness. It will all stay and abide and never perish. So that story is a very clear example of about hijrah and what it actually means. And if you read the story of all the people who made hijrah from a zone of darkness and create a new zone of light, but this is something is ongoing. It's not one time. It can be any time, any place. That environment can be created, that can become a zone of light that people can move towards and leave the zone of darkness. So Sayyidina Ibrahim did the same thing, alayhi salatu wassalam. So he said, قَالَ إِنِّي مُهَاجِرٌ إِلَىٰ رَبِّي. I'm going to make a hijrah to my Lord. So he left his country, he left his near of kin, he left his land, whatever he has. And then he made hijrah, him and his wife. And they created, where they went to become the new zone of light, which is first Palestine and then move into Mecca. So whatever he left behind, he was given 1,000 times more. Imagine how many Allah brought nations out of him. Allah brought countless prophets as his progeny. All this out of hijrah. If you had remained, it would be a different story. This is what hijrah is about. It's real. If you make hijrah, everything will get better for you. So don't feel that I'm leaving everything behind me. You are losing. You're not losing anything. Actually, you're gaining. You really, whatever you left behind, now you have it for real. And forever too. You will never perish. So once he finally entered, reached when Sayyidina Sulaiman is al-mustaqar. Inna ila rabbika al-mustaqar. That's why her throne already has gone ahead of her. I said that. So everything already, if you migrate to Allah, everything already is waiting for you. After you die, you'll find everything ahead. God has brought everything for you into the zone of light. And that will remain and abide and increase forever. So when she came, Sayyidina Sulaiman alayhi salam subjected her to some test. The first test is to test her iman. As we said that she came based on her well thinking. To say that iman takes some time to develop. The word comes into your heart, and that word is like a seed. It takes some time to germinate and grow and flourish and so forth. So it takes time. But anyway, so once he came, her throne is already waiting for her. And Sulaiman said, نكروا لها أرشها ننظر أتهتدي أم تكون من الذين لا يهتدون. Can you change the look of her throne? Just the way, the appearance. But the throne is the same throne. We'll see whether she can recognize her throne or not. So, her own property. فنكر لها عرشها. So فلما جاء قيل هكذا عرشك. And she came, they said, is this your throne? Is your throne as this? And she didn't give a decisive answer. And said, it is my throne. Because she wasn't sure that something's changed. So, but the throne is, in reality, is the throne. It hasn't changed. So that's when you have the iman, it shows you not the look of things, but the inner reality of things. So you can see through the cover. This is what iman does. So Allah guides you through your iman. Appearances don't deceive you, don't delude you, because you see through. So she wasn't sure. قالت كأنه هو. He said it looks like it. So she didn't give a decisive answer, meaning that iman is still developing. It's not yet where it's supposed to be. Okay. Then the next test, and this testing her iman is what is required of the Khalifa, or the person who is the one who people are migrating to, so that to make sure that people, when they come for the real reason. They migrate for the real reason. Because if you are migrating, you're migrating to Allah and His Messenger. And that's your migration. If you're migrating to have another type of dunya, so you should just stay where you are. There's no point. Because migration is not for that. The migration is about, leaving a zone that will perish and entering a zone that is meant to abide and remain. So, he said, it looks like it. But this is what God says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِذَا جَاءَكُمُ الْمُؤْمِنَاتِ مُحَاجِرَاتِ فَامْتَحِنُوهُنَّ. Surah Al-Mumtahana. Or you who believe, if believing women come to you making hijrah, then try their iman. That's their iman. فَامْتَحِنُوهُنَّ. Allah alam bi-imanihinna. Meaning that test that to make sure that they come for the right reason. If you know them, they are believers, meaning that they came for the right reason, seeking Allah's face, nothing else, then you can't send them back. No, they can go back in the perishable domain. So that's why this verse came, and after the Pact of Hudaybiyah, which is year 7, and that pact between Muslims and the Meccans stipulated that anyone who fled Mecca and come to the Muslims will be returned, and not the other way around. If you fled the Muslims and go to Mecca, they don't have to send you back. So when one of these ladies fled Mecca and came to Medina, his family, they sent people to bring her back. So when they came, Prophet said, no, our pact does not include women. We don't send back women. Men he sent back. Yeah. When we don't send women, don't go back. No, it does not include. So, but few men who fled Mecca and they came, people came he sent them back. So, and they were complaining. He said, no, don't worry, Allah will find a way out for you. In Allah, farajan wa makhrajan, just go. Abu Basir, Abu Jandal, and a few others. It was a difficult test for Muslims, but that was if you make a pact, you must respect the terms and the conditions, and you cannot break your word. As I said, we gave them our word, we will not break our word. So you have to go. So anyway, so Sayyidina Sulaiman was trying her iman was on this basis. Because God said so. When the believing women make hijrah, test their iman. Make sure that they came for the right reason. That's what iman is about. If they didn't come for the right reason, then you don't have to hold them. You have to go back. If they came, if you found them as believers, then they can return them back to the kuffar, to the disbelievers. Anyway, so that was the basis of the test that he put her. For the first one, the test about iman. As you see, she faltered. It wasn't the right answer. Then he put the next test, the second one. And the second test is whether she has knowledge. In the sense that by knowledge we mean the light that helps you distinguish between what is real and not real. That's what you call knowledge. So the difference between the two lights, the light of Iman, they are both light. But usually the Quran uses the word light only referring to knowledge. And when it refers to Iman, it says the word guidance or huda. Inna anzalna at-Tawrat fiha hudan wa nur. Allah says we send Torah, and in it there is guidance and light, meaning that there is Iman and there is ilm. So guidance always goes back to Iman. And ilm and nur in the Quran generally always goes back to ilm. So that's what helps you to distinguish, to say, okay, this one is not real, it's false. That's the nur of Iman does not tell you that. It tells you that what is real, it does not tell you what is not real. So it's a very, and you need both of them for the path. So this hadith, for example, is what it sums up. He said, Allahumma arina al-haqqa haqqan. I think I wrote it before. It's a very powerful dua that you should always recite in your sujood. Oh Allah, show us the truth as truth and help us follow it. Show me the truth as truth and help me follow it. And show us the falsehood as falsehood and help me keep away from it, stay away from it. So that's why it's two things. Shows you the light, truth as truth, and shows you falsehood as falsehood. So it's not the same. So this one is what Iman does for you. This first one, Iman does for you. That's why we call it guides you. It guides you to the truth. It shows you the truth as truth. Period. Then you come here, you come to knowledge. That's what shows you the falsehood as falsehood. So that's what also they call, that's what kashf is. It removes the false cover or the false veil. So that was the first one. The first test was about this. So the truth as truth. So was what is as what is, because the throne was her throne. So the throne is her throne. And she said, it's not. And the next one, so it's the whole, everything is in reverse. So the first one is, and she got it is not. The second one is not, and she got it as is. Because the second one was, so the second test was when he built this tower, and the floor is made of crystals. Crystals that glisten, it glitters like water. Exactly. And so when you look at it, you think that it's actually water. That's how it's built. So when they said, and come in the tower, come inside. So when she came inside, she looked at the floor. She took it really for water. So it is not, but she thought is. That's the second one. What is, that's what we call falsehood. What is not, and looks like it is, but it is not. That's what you call falsehood. What is, that's what we call truth. Whatever is, abides. Whatever is not, abides. So she fell again. Hasbatuhu lujja, she thought is as a waves of water, and she did not want the pan of her dress to get wet, so she lifted the pan of her dress. So she made a false move. She took the mirage for water. So that's the mirage. That's why the example he said, as-sarab wal-ma'. Al-ma'u haqqun was-sarabu batil. Water is true because water benefits you, gives you life. It's true. And mirage is false. Looks like water is not water. So if you run after the mirage, you run after nothing. You are running after falsehood. That's what I mean by falsehood. It's the mirage. So pursue things that are real, that is, that benefits you, and that abides. That's water. And don't spend all of your life running after this glimmer or glamour or this shiny thing that is not real. Until the end of your life, you find that you've been running after nothing but a mirage at the end that cannot give you the life-giving water. And the best, beautiful 2 ayahs, inshallah, will end with that for today's. But this one class, I think, it's good for life. It's not, as long as you just keep this in mind, you are good. Just follow in your life something that is real, that benefits you in this life and the next life. Don't run after mirage. That's it. Yes, that. And this is in Surah An-Nur, verse 39. وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا أَعْمَالُهُمْ كَسَرَابٍ بِقِيعَةٍ يَحْسَبُهُ الظَّمْآنُ مَاءً حتى إذا جاءه لم يجده شيئا ووجد الله عنده فوفاه حسابه والله سريع الحساب. And those who do not believe, their deeds are like mirage, بقيعة on a flat land. The one who is thirsty will think it's water and runs towards it. When he comes to it, he finds it to be nothing. He found it to be nothing, and he found God who will pay him his reward in full. Wallahu sari'ul hisab. And there was a beautiful ayah in Surah 2, Al-Ra'd. After talking about the rain clouds and the thunder and the lightning, and all that, in verse 14 of Surah Al-Ra'd, له دعوة الحق. له دعوة الحق. The true calling is for him. That means that the one who, if you call, he can actually answer your call and give you what you call for. So it's true. If you call God, it's the truth. The truth, that's what makes you live. True life. وَالَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِهِ. But those that they call beside him, they don't respond to them with anything. Except, and the example, those who call others other than God, it's like someone who's extending his hands to the water. إِلَّا كَبَاسِطِ كَفَّيْهِ إِلَى الْمَاءِ لِيَبْلُغَ فَاهُ. So the water can come to his mouth. So he wants water. And water is always is a metaphor, always for, and vice versa. Water is a metaphor for the truth. Or the truth is a metaphor for the water. From water, life came. So that is true. And through water, life is sustained. So those that they call beside him, they will not answer to them in anything, except someone who open his hand, his palms, his hands towards the water, so that the water can reach his mouth. And it will never reach his mouth. If you want water, then he can go to water. Well, the water. Who has the water? God has the water. You want the water, you come to God. And you don't stand from far, God, give me water. No. It doesn't work like that. You come close. How do you come close? You make sujood. Wasjud. Waqtarib, God said, make sujood and come close. You want water, you submit. You want water, you humble yourself. You want water, you look for it, you obey the one who has the water. Then you will get to water. So, sujood. So make sujood and come close and ask for water, and you are given water to drink. So that is how it is. But if you stand there, I see people raising their hands, hopefully they are close enough. Then just raise your hand to God, but make sure that you are close. It's not a physical closeness. You have to be, make sujood and come close. If you come close and ask God, you get what you ask for. Yeah. But you can call him from distance. Come close, sujood waqtarib. So ما هو بالغه وما دعاء الكافرين إلا في ضلال. Their prayer does not hit the mark. It's just it's lost in the void, because your prayer must be directed at has a precise target. And to have a precise, so your heart must be really oriented towards God. When your heart is oriented towards God and your prayer, you release your prayer, it goes straight to where your heart is directed. And it hits the mark and it bounces back. But if you're just making a prayer, just in the thin air, that doesn't go anywhere. I think in the same surah, we want an example again of truth and falsehood, of water and scum and chaff. Yeah. Verse 17. أنزل من السماء ماء فسالت أودية بقدرها فاحتمل السيل زبد الرابية. And he sent water from the heaven, and valleys were filled up, each according to its capacity. And the current of water, carried a scum. And all that you heat up in fire, seeking ornament, is a scum like unto it. That means that all the things that the mountain produce is a scum like that scum on the face of the torrent. كذلك يضرب الله الحق والباطل. Thus Allah said the example of truth and falsehood, what abides and what perishes, of water and scum. فأما الزبر, as for scum or the chaff, فيذهب جفاء, goes into nothing. وأما ما ينفع الناس, what benefits people, which is the truth, for real, فيمكث في الأرض, will abide in the earth, will stay. What benefits humanity remains. What is useless, the chaff, the falsehood, perishes. كذلك يضرب الله الأمثال. thus God sets the parables. Surah Al-Ra'd, verse 17. Inshallah, we'll continue from there next Sunday. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لنفسي ولكم. بسم الله حياكم الله. Mm-hmm. No.
The two processes are they simultaneous? Like, if someone has to be guided to a certain degree before ilm comes, or they come together as they are guided a little bit, so ilm comes, they are guided, ilm comes, or they have to be guided to a certain degree. They have to believe and be guided, and then the ilm comes, or is it the same?
It's a process. So yeah, Iman comes first. You have to have the possession of the Iman first, because unity comes before differentiation. So Iman shows you the unity. So that's what we call what is. So it affirms. It affirms. So it's an affirmation, Iman. So before you negate, you have to affirm first. So Iman affirms what is, what is true. And then once you've gone through that process, then ilm comes in. And then after. And then tells you this is not part of it. This is false. So it completely removes what is not. Yeah, but it's a process. We discuss it in the book, again, in the first volume of Expansion. There's a whole chapter about segregation and aggregation. So, inshallah. So, aggregation, so you have aggregation, segregation, and aggregation. What that means is that if you approach any matter, firstly you have to look at it from the point of view of aggregation. You look at it as a whole. That's what Iman does. It shows you what is unity. It doesn't show you this is good, this is bad. It says only what is good. That's what it tells you. If you start saying what is good, what's not good, the process is completely spoiled. Yeah, you're gonna make mistakes. So, but first look at the whole thing with a positive light. That's Iman. So it tells you. And then that's what we call aggregation. Then the nur of ilm comes and then segregates. It says, this is good, this is not. So this is not good. This is not good. So it removes what is supposed to be there. And then finally, that's segregation and aggregation. So we have the final aggregation. So the example of that is the idea that there's no in every good there's something that is harmful in this world, and in every bad there's something that is good. So, and yet what is not good, even though it maybe is small in percentage to what is good, if you leave it there, it's going to be a problem. So there is a way of, if you approach something and there's a good and bad all mixed together, but the good is in a bigger number, it's in a bigger percentage than the bad. So in this case, you remove what is small always. So remove what is bad out of what is good. So that's the segregation. And what remains becomes purely good. So also on the other hand, a majority of bad, but there's a good in it. So you don't deal with removing the what is bad because it's in a bigger number. So you remove the good, a small good that is in it. And the remainder is bad. So now the small bad that you took from the other one, you add it to this majority bad, becomes 100%. And the one good that you remove from the other one, you add it to this majority good, and also so we call that final aggregation. So you aggregate, you segregate, so that all the bad are together. That's what happened in the hereafter. In Akhirah, then everything is separated. All the bad are put together, and all the good are put together completely. So the bad is a complete pure. This one also is pure. Yeah. But in this world, no, it doesn't exist. Everything has some mixture. That's how God has set it up. In Akhirah, it becomes completely distinct. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yes. So yeah, but you can read the book. I think it will give you a more detailed, and volume 1 of expansions. I think is in the chapter called The Prohibited Tree. The Prohibited Tree, yeah. It's very beautiful, beautiful explanation. Wow.
Like in this life, how do you have also good and bad together?
Yeah.
So if somebody's bad is smaller than the good and the other way around, so how do you separate that in this world? Like, I know that you can't 100% separate it. How do you do that?
Okay. So let's say that, as I said just now, that if, first of all, you approach everybody with aggregation. That means that your first approach towards anyone or anything is to see it in a positive light, whatever it is. So don't start by saying what is wrong, but start by saying what is right. That's what we call a positive approach. So once you do that, then once you have that positive outlook, that positive approach, it is God who will give you a light. That's what we call knowledge. That will help you see. Now it'll help you separate. See what is good and what is not good. Yeah. And I will tell you what percentage of good to bad or bad to good. So generally, if the good is a bigger percentage, that's acceptable, that person or that thing. Because let's say it's 51% good, it's acceptable. Because in the hereafter, if your good deeds outweigh your bad deeds by 1%, then you pass. So also make that if the bad is bigger in number, then you can take your caution. Yeah. Because now, but that light will come to you automatically, depending on how you first approach. But if you first approach with criticism and seeing what is wrong, then you will not have that process. So it's the kind of a process that once you follow the process, it works for you. Now, whatever you approach first time, approach it with positive outlook.
Basically, to see the good.
See the good. Nothing else at the beginning. Yeah. until otherwise proven. Yeah. So if you do that, God will give you a light to protect you. I mean, that will show you what is not good and what is good. Yeah. But by following that process. Yeah.
You would actually give the line to make it clear.
To make it clear to you, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It will give you a light.
It needs an expert's guidance. Because it's like we're extracting poison as an antidote. You need an expert
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's the method. Once you apply the method properly, it works for you. Yeah. Works for you.
Basically to give the benefit of the good.
The good. Yeah. Because things by nature are good unless otherwise proven. So that's the assumption that everything is good. Created good, unless they change. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.